You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines Super Bowl week. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And, well, it's here. It's always the bittersweet tragedy, the end of the football season.
I was going to say it's the best of times and the worst of times.
Little Dickens, I like it.
Teams are in it. The season ends on Sunday, and then we get filler for 8 months. Or 7 months, anyway.
Well, I was going to tell you, I can't gamble in the Super Bowl because I lost my shirt in the Pro Bowl. I took the under.
No, I was going to say I picked the MVP. I got Alexander.
Okay. I didn't even know there was one.
Take to get that bet, but how could, there was nobody there any good. Well, of course, Peyton Manning was there, but he always goes to those because that's where he can shine.
I didn't see a down. I didn't see pregame. I didn't see anything. So.
I didn't watch any of it either. It's a joke. But
we are betting this week.
Yes.
So we decided in part one, we are going to make our serious picks. The big money.
Yes.
Well, where are you leaning? Because I've been seesawing like crazy.
Well, my head says San Francisco,
and the Niners are favored by 3.5. I per our conversation here, that's where it stands right now.
Yes. And my head says San Francisco, but there's something about Baltimore that reminds me of the Giants both times they won the Super Bowl. There's just something happening with all the plays and how they handled New England and that touchdown at the end of the regulation against the Broncos. And it's just, and I'm not pinning it on they're winning it for Ray or anything. It just, they're almost like a team of destiny. And I know that's not an argument of any statistical nature, but they scare me. Because everything in my head says San Francisco is faster. They have more talent across the board, I believe. In certain matchups, they're equal, but talent-wise, I think San Francisco is a better team. To me, it's going to depend on San Francisco's running game.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, the whole pistol read option concept.
I don't know how they defend it on the outside. I don't know how they defend that where San Francisco scored all 3 touchdowns against the rushing touchdowns they got. I don't know how they defend that, where they had that gaping hole on the right side.
Well, yeah, just right side. I mean, it wasn't like a sweep. It wasn't wide outside. But, you know, Kaepernick was up there making blocks, and they were using a fullback to smash the spy linebacker in the hole. It was great. I mean...
And the defensive end or linebacker Atlanta had spying on Kaepernick, he came up the field and just stopped. He didn't crash down on the running back where he could have made the tackle. On all 3 of those touchdowns, he could have crashed down and maybe stopped a touchdown, but that wasn't the game plan. He was to come out and stop him from going outside. So what's Baltimore's pick there? Do they bring that outside guy in to take away the running back and let Kaepernick get to the outside? Like, poison there.
Well, I like Baltimore's corners. I almost say you bring, probably not Ed Reed, but you bring another safety in to defend the run and count on your outside guys who've been shutting down everyone in these playoffs. I still think the best way to beat the Niners is dare them to throw the ball.
But if you bring Reed or one of the other safeties down, who's covering Vernon Davis?
Well, I mean, I assume you'd have Reed on Davis. let the corners play man to man. Hey, it's not guaranteed. I'm just trying to think strategically how to approach it, and I think it's going to be an interesting, almost old school game in that it's a lot of one-on-one matchups, and who wins. Both the throw and the catch.
That is the biggest, to me, that's the biggest factor in the game, is whoever wins that battle between San Francisco's rushing and Baltimore's run defense is going to win the Super Bowl. Because if you run the ball effectively, they're going to keep the Baltimore defense on the field, which is an older unit. Even with deer antler spray, they're still an old unit. And San Francisco, I don't know. Like, you look at the adjustments both defenses made in the championship games, that neither team allowed a point in the second half of those games.
Against, and that may be an even more impressive number for Baltimore against, the highest scoring defense in NFL history, or one of, in New England. The fact, to go the second half of the championship game without giving up a point against New England, that's a hell of an achievement. Yeah.
And the other factor in the game, like the biggest factor, I think, is the running of San Francisco, the rush defense of Baltimore. The other is, can San Francisco's pass defense not give up 400 yards?
Oh, exactly. I mean, if Flacco hits either Bolden or Smith deep once or twice and backs them up, I think San Francisco is vulnerable to Ray Rice in the middle if they start playing back on their heels, even a little.
Well,
but I just hate to trust Flacco.
Well, and the play-action pass that Atlanta ran against San Francisco in the first half killed them. And San Francisco had no pass rush that game. None.
Neither team has had a significant pass rush in these playoffs.
And Baltimore's offensive line is playing ridiculous.
Oh, this McKinney move, I mean, it's like a hockey move. You rest a guy all year and bring him in for the playoffs, and that seems to be the way Baltimore used McKinney this year. And, what a great decision if that was, in fact, the plan.
Well, and Caldwell taking over as O-coordinator. When they fired Cam Cameron like week 16, and everybody's like, what the hell are you doing? Well, you look at the way they're running that offense now. Play action pass. Rice still isn't, like when they were losing and Rice wasn't getting the ball, everybody made a big deal about it. He's still only getting about 14, 15 handoffs a game.
But you know what? If I'm a Baltimore fan and, we're in the Super Bowl and Ray Rice didn't get 390 touches, how is that not a positive?
It is. That was my point. It's like when losing and Ray Rice isn't getting the ball with Cam Cameron, it was bad. But they start winning. It was just a little... They're throwing the ball deep more since Cameron's been gone. And Cameron was supposed to be the big offensive genius. He's like a Brian Billick type. The offensive genius that wasn't quite an offensive genius when it all comes down to it. Caldwell, who everybody thought was a dummy, head coach in Indy, takes the offense over and they're scoring 30 points a game.
And doing it in a lot of ways. I mean, in that New England game, they hit Torrey Smith enough in the first half that they brought the safety over to cover Torrey Smith, and then Bolden started to burn him. That's a pretty good set of wideouts. I mean, I said it in our in-between week. Bolden and Torrey Smith is a pretty good set of outside receivers.
Here's the difference between New England and San Francisco. San Francisco has great safeties. Pitt is going to be covered.
Goldston looked terrible in that Atlanta game, though.
Oh, in the first half. Well, they played so much rollover coverage, though, to protect them deep. They'll only have to do that with one guy in Baltimore. You only have to worry about Torrey Smith. Bolden's not getting behind you for 50 yards.
Yeah, but Pitt is going to pick up anywhere between 8 and 12 across the middle. I don't think.
No, but here's
maybe Bowman and Willis, depending on coverage, can neutralize Pitta. That's a good point.
Here, you can roll one safety over on Smith, but you don't have to roll the other one over on Bolden. You can go one-on-one with Bolden. Because you'll give the odds of a team marching down the field continuously, 12, 15 plays a drive. That's all they're playing in the NFL is the averages. They're just trying to prevent you. They'll give you 3 first downs. They don't care.
Well, yeah, and I don't think you're going to shut out either of those guys. You just have to take your licks, hope you hold them to 18, not 42, you know?
New England's game plan against them was fine until Talib went out. Baltimore never had a big, deep ball. And I think San Francisco's linebackers are better than New England's.
Much better. I mean, Willis and Bowman, those linebackers are better than any linebackers right there, those two.
And I would like to know what injury Aldon Smith is playing with. Because he does not look like the same guy since that New England game.
Well, the correlation is it was when Justin Smith went out and stopped sponging up all the blockers.
And maybe it's his injury that's...
I think that's the more significant injury. Because the correlation is almost directly to the play where Justin Smith got hurt. Yeah, and he's back with, the triceps injury. I guess he didn't have the same deer antler connections, but...
Hey, you tear a tricep and you play, and you're leading the postseason in tackle, and you have Justin Smith, who seems like the shell of himself. And he didn't even tear it.
Well, I don't even buy that leading in tackles thing. Jumping on the top of a pile is not a tackle or a partial tackle.
Leading tackles, he's doing his job because the D-line...
Oh, he's not playing poorly, but...
No, I'm saying it's all dependent on the D-line. If the D-line doesn't do their job, the linebacker can't make a fucking tackle because he's getting bowled over by blockers. The D-line's clogging up the O-line, and there's nobody coming into the second level to block. So
Aldon Smith was limited in practice.
There's something more than Justin Smith's injury going on since that game. To have 19 and a half sacks with 3 games left in the season and not get anything in the next 5 games, there's something going on. Because I refuse to believe that an elite defender like that wouldn't get a sack even without help. He's too good.
That's the nature of the pass rush specialist, though.
But you get at least
once they have to take on blockers 1-on-1, they've got nothing. If they can come clean...
No. That's how they get it, though, 1-on-1. That's what I'm saying. You should get at least one. He's had pressures and stuff, but it's just... If the Niners need to get a pass rush... So that they have to, Flacco, you don't even have to sack him. But they weren't in Ryan's face at all. No. They have to get in Flacco's face.
Particularly in the first half. I mean, he had 7 Mississippis several times there, especially on the play action.
Yes.
He had 4 clear yards around him in any direction. And if that happens against Baltimore... And, Flacco doesn't have one of his Sanchez days, they're going to suffer.
Hey, money's a great motivator. That's the other story nobody's talked about.
Yeah, but they can franchise tag him for $14.5 million, which I think is what they'll do.
I know.
We're talking about Flacco coming to the end of his rookie deal.
Well, and the thing is, though... He can hold. He's got leverage, though, if they win this game. And the way he's played in the playoffs, I heard the stat, I think it was his last 5 games, the playoffs and the last 2 regular season games, 10 touchdowns, no picks. You don't think when you've had an up and down year of a contract year that money isn't like a laser to your, gives you a laser focus at this point?
Yeah.
weird that it didn't stay consistent through the whole year, because usually when you have a contract year, it's like steady through the whole year.
On a certain argument, how this game goes doesn't affect that discussion much. He's put himself into that contract talk rather than the one he would have been dealing with if he'd talked about it last year.
There's his people are throwing around numbers like breeze money.
Oh, you see that's silly, but
that's what they're saying now. But you don't think that'll keep you in the film room a little longer and get your focus in there?
It's a great motivator.
But the offensive line, the biggest reason I think he's better now, the offensive line. And he's still not completing passes like 70%.
No, like 55.
Yeah, 55, 60.
Barely. I don't think he's hit 60 in these playoffs. Maybe against Indy. But his yards per attempt is crazy because he's stroking the deep ball. He's been outstanding.
And the stupid
over 20 yards.
Stupid thing.
And that's even if you take that ridiculous outlier that got them to overtime in Denver. Like, just remove that one because that's just, I don't think anyone should get credit for that, really.
Hey, we wouldn't even be talking about Flacco if a safety could judge a long ball. Instead of missing it by a yard and a half and flailing like a dead fish.
But he did throw some incredible balls to Bolden in that game.
Yes.
Just perfect lay over the shoulders on the sideline. I mean, Flacco's been outstanding.
Well, the 2 touchdown passes against New England to Bolden were fantastic throws too.
Yeah, no, he's been great. I mean, when I say just take that one out of there statistically, he's still great without that one throw statistically in these playoffs.
And like, for all the talk of Ray Lewis, Flacco's been the guy. Flacco and those receivers have been the reason they're going where they're going. And
the O-line. As you said, I mean, it always starts with the O-line, but that O-line is, I mean, Von Miller, Elvis Dumerville, serious blitzing from the New England defense. That O-line has just handled everything that has come their way.
Wilfork you didn't hear his name in that AFC Championship game.
No, I can't recall it. I read that somewhere recently too, and I'm thinking, yeah. You know, and he's one of those players that the announcers love to talk about, Big Vince Wilfork. If he'd done a damn thing, we would have heard about it. He did nothing.
No.
So where are you leaning?
San Fran. Like, in my heart of hearts, I want Baltimore to get fucking destroyed. Because if anybody's followed the website or listened to the podcast last week, I have a genuine hate for Ray Lewis. It's not a sports hate. I hate him as a human. Because he's a dick. He's a dick.
Am I disagreeing? No, he's a complete hypocritical asshole.
And the stupid thing is, and this bugs me too, and there was, I think it was Torrey Smith said after the AFC Championship game, there's other players on this team other than Ray Lewis. But they still make it about that fucking defense, and that's not the reason they're there. Not even close to the reason they're there. They had a good game against New England.
And against Denver, shutting them down on the outside. Don't forget, 14 of those Denver points were returns.
Through that game, the only thing I blame Peyton Manning for in that game is that fucking pick. The defense didn't really they scored 21 points.
And you mean the last pick, not the first one, which was very arguably pass interference.
So, their defense, they played a rookie quarterback in the first round, and that game was tight until the fourth quarter.
Baltimore's corners have been shutting down any deep threats and have been coming up to the slot. So I give Webb and his counterpart
they're
marks for their corner work.
Yes, but
and by the way, with no pass rush to speak of from Baltimore in these playoffs, they're holding those coverages forever.
I'm interested to see how they handle Crabtree on the slants and Vernon Davis over the middle. And I guarantee
you see, they held both Decker and Thomas on those inside slants, either by shifting it over to the linebackers or the safety. So, I think the cornerback matchup is sort of an underrated plus for Baltimore.
The difference here is that read option fucking freezes corners and safeties and linebackers and everybody else. Vernon Davis is going to be the focal point of that passing game, and I guarantee you they will go deep to Moss at least twice because they're going to be going one-on-one with Randy Moss. They're going to think, we can cover Moss with one guy, and he's going to get open downfield a couple of times, and they'll try and hit him.
I don't know about the Moss thing, but I think Vernon Davis is the key to this game for San Francisco.
Passing game. For the win, it's the running game. Because I haven't seen anybody able to stop it. The way they've run it in the playoffs, nobody's had a clue. Green Bay, Kaepernick runs wild.
Oh, the Green Bay game was hilarious. And, everyone says that Atlanta did a good job against Kaepernick. No, they
took him away.
Shifted it to Gore.
Yeah, the only difference is Green Bay was playing the running back and letting the quarterback run, and Atlanta let the running back run and didn't let the quarterback. There's no difference in the two games.
Which was pretty much what Washington did to Baltimore. The running back had 129 yards, and they more or less contained RG3. Now, on the other hand, it was a very similar pistol-style read option offense. So Baltimore has seen it at least once this year, which helps.
Or Washington doesn't have a receiver as good as Crabtree or Davis.
No, not even close.
Crabtree has elevated himself into the top tier of wide receivers. Nobody's talked about him. He had a great fucking season.
And not only that, it was a third down season. Whether it was Alex Smith or Kaepernick, on third down, he found a way. It was Art Monk-like.
And
you needed 12, he'd get 13 somehow. He was going up late for stabs, high in the air. He was laying out his body. Yeah, I agree with you. Crabtree is one of the very underrated players in the league recently.
So, okay, we should probably make a bet. I don't think there's anything else we can discuss.
Okay, my opinion is either the Niners win and cover, or Baltimore squeaks out a win outright.
Oh, so what do we want to do? Do we want to hedge?
No. It's the Super Bowl, man.
Oh, but were we just making one bet?
No, I think we should make two bets.
Well, then how are we going against it then? We got to hedge. Or what were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking betting the under, but I guess we haven't even talked about that yet.
I hate betting fucking things. It's like a fucking coin flip.
True enough. Okay, we'll avoid the under.
And like, I wouldn't be against doing like first to 10 points or something like that. Or if we wanted, seeing it's 3.5, if we wanted to do an alternate spread, if we're both leaning towards the 49ers.
Like, I am leaning towards the Niners. I think they are going to win and cover simply on talent.
That's my thinking too. I just think they have too much talent. I think they're I think they're going to be faster. I don't think Baltimore hasn't seen a defense this tough and this physical. Like, they used to play the Steeler games this way. And I think San Fran is a better version of what Baltimore used to be right now. They're what Baltimore used to be on defense, and Baltimore is like the aging Pittsburgh defense that Baltimore was able to beat this year. That's just how I see it.
Well, do we want to try to middle it then?
How so?
We can bet the Niners to cover on one bet for 15.
Yeah.
Put the other 15 on Baltimore to win outright.
That's where I was thinking. Like, we're hedging. I know it sounds...
That's a hedge. That's not a middle, by the way. I completely misused the term there.
It seems like a pussy bet, but I don't know how else you bet unless you put 30 on one team.
And I'm not that confident. I'm with you on the team of destiny crap that we both say is crap, but we know sometimes. And a lot of these guys are aging and they want their ring. There is a desperation factor there. The needles are out in the training rooms. They're putting deer antler under their tongues, for God's sake. And so then, in essence, what we would be looking at is... There's no way for us to win serious money there, though.
No. Here's where we could up the ante on the Niners with the alternate spread. If we bet San Fran minus 4.5, it's plus 100. We're giving up an extra point.
Let's do that then. That's a new and crazy wrinkle. I don't mind that when we're in a hedge bet situation anyway.
The other thing is to go
now if the Niners win by 4, we're screwed both ways.
Now, the other option is minus 4 is minus 105. It shaves a little bit off the minus 110. Because at 3.5, it's 4 anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, oh fuck it, we're down for the year.
Yeah,
a substantial amount.
Substantial on our small stakes. Yeah,
but it's for only betting $30 a week, we're down a substantial amount. And granted, some of that came from our silly preseason betting and shit that is just we do for fun. But I'm going to go back through before next week because I've saved all the bets and see how many games we actually, see how many games we actually picked right. Because I think we're probably going to be in the 55 to 60% range. But with our parlays, we hit one half and lose the second half kind of thing. And it's something we may have to look at and just do $10 a game straight up.
Yeah.
Next year instead, and fuck the parlays and maybe do
Well, do you know what? Why don't we take a stand here? Screw the hedge. Let's throw it all in the Niners. And take them at 4.
Well, why don't we do it at 3.5? Because 4 is a push, and 4 that way would give us a win.
Okay.
And we're not really gaining much. Like, I'll do the comparison here just for argument's sake. So $30 at minus 110 pays us $57.27. And the other one at 4 pays us $58.50.
Oh yeah, that's not worth.
It's not worth $1.30 or to me.
No.
Now, at 4.5, let's just do, for argument's sake, it pays us double, $60. Now,
and that's only $2.63 different than the 3.5.
Yeah.
Let's lay our 30 on the Niners.
Oh, fuck. That's a good line. The alternate spread? No, that's not good. Yep, 30 on the Niners. We both like the Niners.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not hedge here. We're having our first losing year ever.
Well, I'm just, for argument's sake, I'm just going to see what $15 pays on the Ravens outright. 38. So we'd make $8.
And we have a chance to drop right into the two numbers that could screw us. I say let's make a stand. Niners.
Done. So we've got the Niners. $30 minus 3.5. That bet pays $57.27. Won't get us out of the hole, but stay tuned. We're gonna do. We don't like throwing our money away all year. We're gonna do prop bets, so you got to listen to part 2. And Marlon, I just want to say before we wrap up our regular season portion of our podcast, I've had a blast all year. We may tinker with it a little bit, change our betting, how we're going to bet, but the format's going to stay the same. We're going to argue and bitch and everything else. And I know we've only been doing it 2 years, but I can't imagine not doing it now.
No, I can't. It's when this is over and we take a week or two off, it's going to get to be Thursday, and I'm going, wait a minute, something is missing from my life. And I'll quote Hunter Thompson's suicide note, football season is over. After this one.
All right. I'll let everybody know where they can find all our glorious work. You can listen to the podcast on iTunes. Just search Offensive Lines. You can listen to it on our website, offensivelines.ca. Follow us on Twitter at Offensive Lines for any updates to the site, my daily posts. If you want to find out some good shit about Ray Lewis, that's all there this week. Facebook.com/Offensive Lines. And if you want to contact us and tell us what ninnies we've been this year on our bets, lines at shaw.ca.
That's the only year you're going to be able to mock us.
Yeah. And remember, eat your betting money, but don't bet your eating money. And we don't do that, but I still haven't been able to eat off my betting money.
All right. For Offensive Lines, I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And stay tuned for part 2, an extra special prop bet bonus edition coming right at you.
Deer antler spray.